Chromo 3:47 p.m. Hi friends. I want you to close your eyes for a moment. Just close them. I want you to think about someone who has seen you at your absolute worst. Someone who has seen you ugly cry, someone who has seen you fail. Someone who has sat next to you in a hospital waiting room at 2 in the morning, not saying a word, just being there. Someone who has watched you lose your confidence, lose your direction, lose yourself, and still looked at you like you were the most important person in the room. Now open your eyes. If that person came to your mind, you are one of the luckiest human beings alive. Because what I just described to you, that is not just a relationship. That is a miracle. That is something that most people spend their entire lives searching for and never fully find. And today I want to talk to you about that miracle. I want to talk to you about what it actually takes. Not just to find love, not just to start something beautiful, but to make it last, to make it go the distance. To build something so strong, so deep, so rooted that no storm in this world can uproot it. Today we are talking about the secret of a long-lasting relationship. And I promise you, by the time we are done here today, you are going to see love differently. You are going to see your partner differently. You are going to see yourself differently. Because here is what nobody tells you when you fall in love. Nobody sits you down and says, hey, this is beautiful right now, but it is going to ask things of you that you don't yet know how to give. Nobody warns you. They just play the music, throw the confetti, take the photos, and then leave you alone to figure out the hardest thing a human being can ever try to do. Stay. That one word, stay. It sounds so simple. It is the hardest thing in the world. Let me tell you about a man named David. David was 43 years old, and he called me after one of my events, voice shaking, barely holding himself together. He said, I think I'm going to ask my wife for a divorce. And I asked him, David, how long have you been married? He said, 19 years. I said, David, what happened? And there was this long pause, and then he said something I will never forget. He said, nothing happened. That's the problem. Nothing happened. We just stopped. They stopped talking, not stopped speaking. They still said words to each other every day. Good morning, have you eaten? The kids have school tomorrow. Did you pay the bill? Words. But they stopped talking. They stopped seeing each other. They stopped being curious about each other. They stopped choosing each other. They stopped choosing. And slowly, without either of them even noticing, two people who had once been so desperately in love that they couldn't stand to be in different rooms became strangers sharing the same roof. And friends, I want you to hear this because this is where I need your full attention. David's story is not unique. David's story is everywhere. It is in every neighborhood, every city, every country on this planet. People don't usually lose their relationships in one dramatic moment. They don't usually end because of one big betrayal or one catastrophic fight. Most relationships die quietly. Most relationships die slowly. Most relationships die from neglect, from taking each other for granted, from forgetting in the middle of all the noise and responsibility and exhaustion of life to keep showing up for each other. And that is what I'm here to talk about today. Because love, real love, lasting love, is not a feeling you fall into. It is a decision you make every single morning when you open your eyes. It is a commitment you renew not on your anniversary, not on Valentine's Day, not when things are easy and beautiful and the sun is shining, but on the hard days, the gray days, the days when you are tired and frustrated and you can't even remember why you started. That is where the roots live. Now I want to talk to you about something that I believe is the single most important word in any lasting relationship. And that word is not love. That word is not commitment. That word is not trust. Though all of those matter enormously. The word is safety. Safety. When two people are in a relationship, whether it is a romantic partnership, a marriage, a deep friendship, what they are fundamentally trying to do is create a safe space for each other in this very unsafe world. Think about what the world demands from us every single day. It demands that we perform, that we compete, that we prove our worth, that we be strong when we are breaking, that we smile when we are screaming inside. The world is relentless. The world does not slow down for your grief or your fear or your confusion. The world keeps moving, keeps demanding, keeps pushing. And in the middle of all of that, your relationship Your partnership, your home, it should be the one place where you can take off your armor, where you don't have to perform, where you don't have to have the right answer or the strong face or the perfect response, where you can be the most unfinished, most uncertain, most frightened version of yourself and still be completely accepted, completely held, completely enough. That is safety. And it is the foundation of everything. Because here is the truth that most couples never learn. You cannot truly love someone you are afraid of. You cannot be fully intimate with someone you have to pretend around. You cannot build a deep, lasting, meaningful relationship with someone unless you both feel fundamentally safe with each other. And safety is not just physical. Safety is not just the absence of danger. Emotional safety is one of the most fragile, most precious things in a human relationship. It is built slowly, carefully through thousands of small moments of trust, and it can be shattered in an instant. Every time you dismiss your partner's feelings, you're being too sensitive, you chip away at emotional safety. Every time you use something your partner told you in vulnerability as a weapon in an argument, you chip away at emotional safety. Every time you roll your eyes, shut down, walk away from a hard conversation, make your partner feel foolish or small or invisible, you chip away at the very foundation of what you are trying to build. And I want to be very honest with you right now because I think this room can handle honesty. Some of us, and I include myself in this because I have not always gotten this right. Some of us have been the person who made our partner feel unsafe. Not because we were bad people, not because we didn't love them, but because we were carrying our own wounds, our own fears, our own unprocessed pain. And we didn't know how to put it down before we came home. So we brought it through the door. We took it out on the person who least deserved it. We were short tempered, we were distant, we were critical, we were cold. And we told ourselves we were just stressed, we were just tired, we were just going through something. And maybe that was true. But the person on the other side of that behavior, they were also going through something. And what they were going through was a slow, quiet erosion of the belief that they were safe with you. So the first secret, the most foundational secret of any long-lasting relationship is this: be a safe place for each other. Protect each other's vulnerability like it is the most sacred thing you have ever been trusted with. Because it is. Now let me talk about communication. Because I know you have heard this before. Every relationship book, every therapist, every talk show, communication, 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 communication. And yes, it matters. But I want to go deeper than the word. Because most people think communication means talking. And it doesn't. It means being heard. There is a devastating loneliness that exists in relationships where two people talk all the time but never feel heard. Where you can sit across from your partner at the dinner table every night and still feel utterly alone inside. Where you can have a conversation and walk away feeling more invisible than you did before it started. That loneliness, the loneliness of feeling unknown by the person who is supposed to know you best, that is one of the most painful experiences a human being can have. And it happens because we have gotten confused about what listening means. Listening is not waiting for your turn to talk. Listening is not formulating your response while your partner is still speaking. Listening is not fixing. Listening is not offering the solution before the person has even finished telling you the problem. Listening, real listening, is the radical act of setting yourself aside completely and giving your full, undivided, wholehearted presence to another human being. It is saying with everything in you, you matter. What you are feeling matters. I am not in a hurry. I am not somewhere else. I am here, right here with you. I heard a story once about a woman named Margaret who had been married to the same man. Her name was Harold for 56 years. And someone asked her, Margaret, what is the secret 56 years? How do you do it? And she thought about it for a long moment. And she said, Harold always made me feel like whatever I was saying was the most interesting thing he had ever heard. Had 56 years. And what she remembered, what she identified as the secret, was not grand gestures, not expensive gifts, not dramatic romantic moments. It was the quality of his attention. He made her feel like the most interesting thing in the room every time for 56 years. That, friends, is love in practice. Now I want to get real with you because motivational speeches about relationships sometimes make it all sound very beautiful and poetic, and they forget to mention that real relationships are also sometimes very, very messy. Let me talk about conflict. Because conflict is not the enemy of love. Conflict is actually one of the greatest tests of love. It is in conflict that you discover the true character of a relationship. And I want you to hear this clearly. The goal in a relationship is not to never fight. That is not the goal. Couples who say they never fight are either lying or one of them has simply learned to silence themselves. And that silence is its own kind of damage. The goal is to fight right. There is a researcher, John Gottman, one of the most important relationship scientists who has ever lived, who spent decades studying couples. He studied thousands of them in his lab, watching them interact, watching them argue, watching them navigate conflict. And he discovered something extraordinary. He could watch a couple fight for just a few minutes and predict with over 90% accuracy whether they would still be together in 15 years. And what was he looking for? Four things. He called them the four horsemen. Criticism, not raising an issue but attacking the character of the person. Contempt, which is the single most destructive force in any relationship. The eye roll, the sarcasm, the sneering, the looking down on your partner as though they are beneath you. Defensiveness, not listening to a concern but immediately counterattacking. And stonewalling, shutting down completely, going behind a wall, refusing to engage. When those four patterns dominate a relationship, Gottman said, it is almost always heading toward its end. But here is what he also found. The couples who lasted, the ones with deep, strong, loving relationships, did not fight less. They fought differently. They fought with what he called a softened startup. They raised issues gently, carefully, without attacking. They took breaks when they felt flooded. When the emotion was too high to have a productive conversation, they learned to say, I need 20 minutes, and then I will come back, because this matters. They repaired. When things got too heated, they found ways to de-escalate, to find the thread of humor or tenderness that reconnected them even in the middle of disagreement. And above all, they maintained a fundamental attitude of respect and admiration for each other, even when they were angry. That respect. That underlying bedrock admiration. That is what contempt destroys. And that is what you must protect at all costs. Because you can recover from a lot in a relationship. You can recover from misunderstandings, from mistakes, from periods of distance and disconnection. But it is very, very hard to recover from contempt. From the moment when one partner starts to genuinely look down on the other. From the moment when the voice in your head stops saying, I disagree with you, and starts saying, I don't respect you. Protect your partner's dignity. In every fight, no matter how angry you are, protect their dignity. Because love can survive disagreement, but it struggles to survive humiliation. Now I want to talk about something that I believe is terribly undervalued in conversations about relationships. And that is the idea of choosing each other over and over again. Choosing each other not once at the beginning, but continuously, relentlessly, every single day, for the entire duration of the relationship. We live in a culture that celebrates the beginning of love. We celebrate the moment of falling. We celebrate the first kiss, the proposal, the wedding day. We put those moments in frames on our walls. We post them on social media. We tell those stories at dinner parties. But we do not celebrate. We barely even acknowledge the ordinary Tuesday afternoon, 15 years in, when you are both exhausted and the house is a mess and you are stressed about money and you are not feeling particularly romantic and you look at your partner and you think, I choose you. Still, again, today, I choose you. That moment, that quiet, unglamorous, undocumented moment is more profound than the wedding day. That moment is love in its purest, most mature, most beautiful form. Because love in the beginning is easy. Love in the beginning is fueled by chemistry and novelty and excitement and the thrill of discovery. You are learning each other. Everything is new. Every conversation opens a new door. Every touch has electricity. That love requires almost nothing of you. It gives everything and asks nothing in return. But love at year 8 or year 15 or year 25. Love when you have seen each other's worst moments. Love when the novelty has long passed. Love when you know every story. Love when life has handed you both real losses. Grief, failure, illness, disappointment. And you have had to navigate those losses together. Sometimes gracefully and sometimes terribly. That love requires everything. That love is an act of will, of intention, of courage. That love is a choice you have to keep making. Especially when, it would be easier not to. I want to tell you about a couple I know. I will call them Elena and Thomas. They have been together for 22 years. And about 6 years ago, Thomas lost his job. Not just any job, the job that was his identity, his pride, his sense of purpose. He was a senior executive at a company he had given 15 years to, and overnight it was gone. And what followed was one of the darkest periods of his life. He fell into depression. He withdrew. He stopped taking care of himself. He became someone that neither he nor Elena recognized. And Elena, she was carrying the whole family, working full time, taking care of their children, trying to keep the household running, trying to hold herself together. And on top of all of that, she was also watching the man she loved disappear in front of her eyes. And she was terrified. And she was angry. And she was lonely. And she was grieving. She told me later that there were moments, real, honest moments, where she thought about leaving. Not because she stopped loving him, but because she was so exhausted, so depleted, so close to her own edge. But she didn't leave. And when I asked her why, she said something that has stayed with me ever since. She said, because I asked myself one question. If our situations were reversed, if I was the one who was broken, if I was the one who had lost myself, would I want him to stay? And the answer was so immediate, so clear, that it ended the debate. Yes, she would want him to stay. More than anything in the world, she would want him to stay. So she stayed. And it was the hardest thing she has ever done. And it was also the most important. Thomas eventually came back. It took time. It took therapy and patience and many nights of sitting in the dark together. But he came back. And he came back a different man. A humbler man. A man who understood things about himself and about his wife that he never could have understood otherwise. And the relationship, on the other side of that valley, was deeper and more real and more solid than anything they had in the easy years. Because they had been tested and they had chosen each other anyway. That is what I mean when I talk about choosing each other. Not the choosing when it is easy, the choosing when it is hard, the choosing when you are scared, the choosing when you are hurt, the choosing when every practical argument in the world is telling you to let go and love asks you to hold on. Let me talk now about vulnerability, because vulnerability is terrifying, and I understand why. Most of us, especially those of us who grew up in environments where we learned that being soft was dangerous, where we learned that our feelings would be used against us, where we learned that love was conditional and could be withdrawn at any moment, most of us built walls. High, thick, carefully constructed walls to protect the softest parts of ourselves. And those walls kept us safe. In the environments where we built them, those walls were necessary. They were survival. But you cannot build a lasting relationship from behind a wall. You cannot be truly intimate, truly seen, truly known, truly connected while hiding. And so at some point, if you want the depth, if you want the real thing, you have to let someone in. You have to take the wall down brick by brick and let another human being stand in the most undefended part of you and choose to stay there. That is terrifying. And here is the cruelty of it. The more you have been hurt, the harder it is to be vulnerable. The more your trust has been broken in the past, the more dangerous trust feels in the present. And yet, the more you have been hurt, the more you need connection. The more you need connection. The more you need to be seen and held and accepted. So you are caught in this impossible tension between the wound that makes you hide and the need that makes you reach out. This is why I always say, healing yourself is not separate from your relationship. It is not something you do before you deserve love. Healing yourself is one of the greatest gifts you can give your partner. Because when you do the work, when you face your wounds, when you understand your patterns, when you stop letting the pain of your past write the story of your present, you show up differently. You love differently. You love differently. You listen differently. You are capable of a depth of connection that is simply not available to someone who is still running from their own pain. And I know that therapy still carries stigma in some places, in some communities, in some cultures. People think it means something is wrong with you. People think it means you are weak. Forgiveness is not any of those things. Forgiveness is making the decision that you will not allow what happened to define the rest of your story. It is refusing to build a permanent prison out of a past moment. It is choosing to release the weight of resentment, not for the other person's sake, but for your own. Because resentment carried long enough does not punish the person who hurt you, it punishes you. It becomes a slow poison in your own bloodstream. It warps how you see everything. It keeps you anchored in the worst moment instead of allowing you to move forward. And I want to say something about forgiveness in the context of long relationships that I think is deeply important. Sometimes the person you need to forgive is yourself. We make mistakes in our relationships. We say things we cannot take back. We make choices we regret. We fail our partners in moments that mattered. And sometimes we carry that guilt for years, dragging it behind us like a ball and chain, never fully forgiving ourselves, never fully believing we deserve the love we are receiving. And that unforgiving relationship with yourself quietly poisons the relationship around you. Forgive yourself. You were doing the best you could with what you knew and what you had at the time. You are not the worst moment you have ever had. And the only way to stop repeating the mistakes of the past is to face them. Learn from them, take responsibility for them, and then release them. Carry the lesson. Put down the weight. Let me talk about the seasons of love. Because love, like everything in nature, has seasons. And understanding this, truly accepting this, is one of the most liberating things you can do for your relationship. There are spring seasons in a relationship. The beginning, the fresh energy, the new growth, the excitement of something coming alive. Everything feels possible. Everything smells like possibility. There are summer seasons, the warm, full, expansive times. The seasons when the relationship feels abundant, when you are deeply connected, when life is generous and you are both thriving and the love between you feels effortless and nourishing. There are autumn seasons when things shift, when there is a sense of transition, when the dynamic changes, children leave, jobs change, health shifts, loss arrives, and the relationship has to adapt, to transform, to let certain things go and discover what remains. And there are winter seasons. The cold, dark, sparse times, when connection feels distant, when you are both depleted, when the love that was once so warm feels like it might have gone out, when you are not sure you remember who you were to each other, or whether you can find your way back. Every long relationship, every single one, goes through all four seasons, multiple times. And the couples who don't understand this think that winter means the end. They think that the cold means the love is gone. They think that the absence of warmth means the fire has died. But winter is not the end. Winter is part of the cycle. Winter is necessary. Winter is the time when the tree drives its energy down into the roots, when growth happens underground where you cannot see it. When the relationship is doing the quiet, invisible work that will make the next spring possible. The couples who last are the ones who have learned to trust the cycle. Who know that winter always ends. Who know that the coldness is temporary and the work they do in the cold, the honesty, the patience, the commitment, the gentle tending will bring them back to warmth on the other side. Don't leave in winter. If you leave in winter, you will never know the spring that was coming. Now I want to talk about something that is deeply practical and deeply important. And it is the question of appreciation versus expectation. In the early stages of a relationship, we appreciate. We are grateful for everything. We notice everything. And the answer is an honest, courageous conversation, a real reckoning. How we have to face this, or it is going to cost us everything. And that honesty, as scary as it is itself an act of love. Because it says, this relationship matters enough to me that I am willing to have the hard conversation. I am not willing to let something that is breaking us go unaddressed. Playing the long game means knowing the difference. It means developing the wisdom to know when to let something go and when to hold your ground, when to speak and when to be quiet, when to fight for the relationship, and when to trust that the relationship is strong enough to survive the current storm without you having to manage every wave. Let me tell you about Maria and Louis. They met when they were 22, both of them young, both of them with nothing, both of them building their lives from the ground up in a new city where they knew almost no one. And they built together. They built careers, they built a home, they raised 3 children. They survived the death of Maria's mother and Louis's business failure, and one absolutely terrible year when they nearly lost everything. Their home, their savings, their sense of future. But they are still together. 41 years. And I asked them both, separately, what the secret was. And they both said almost the same thing without consulting each other. Louis said, I always knew she was in my corner, even when she was angry at me. And she was sometimes very angry at me. I never doubted that she was for me, that she wanted me to win. And Maria said, he never made me feel alone. Even in our hardest times, I always knew I had a partner, that whatever was coming, we were going to face it together. Isn't that beautiful? 41 years, and the secret, in their own words, was, I am in your corner. I am for you. We face things together. Not perfection, not absence of conflict, not the fairy tale. Just I am for you. You are not alone. We are a team. That is it. That is the whole thing right there. Now, in the last part of this, I want to talk directly to three different people who might be in this room. First, I want to talk to the person who is at the beginning. You are new to this. You are in that glorious, electric, terrifying early stage of love. And everything is wonderful, and you are scared, and you are hopeful, and you don't know yet what you are building. To you, I want to say, pay attention. In these early days, you are learning each other. You are laying the foundation. Be honest now. Be as honest now as you want to be able to be in 20 years. Because honesty is a habit, and you are either building it now or building the absence of. Choose each other intentionally. Not out of desperation, not out of fear, not out of the feeling that someone is better than being alone. Choose each other because you genuinely see something real and worthy and you want to know it better. And be patient with each other. You are both works in progress. You will both make mistakes. What matters is how you handle the mistakes. Handle them with grace and honesty, and you are already ahead. Second, I want to talk to the person who is in the middle. You have been in your relationship for a while, maybe years, maybe decades. And somewhere along the way, it got quiet. Not the comfortable, warm quiet, the other kind. The quiet where you are not really seeing each other anymore. The quiet where the days have gotten so full of obligation and routine that the two of you have become ships that pass in the same harbor, close but not touching. To you, I want to say, it is not too late. I promise you, it is not too late. The embers are still there. I believe that. But they need attention. They need oxygen. You have to blow on them. You have to get back in the room together, really in the room, with the phones put away and the distractions removed, and start talking again. Start asking each other questions. Start being curious again. What are you excited about? What are you afraid of? What do you dream about that you haven't talked about in years? Get curious about the person in front of you like they are someone new, because in some ways they are. People change. And the partner you have today may have dimensions you have not yet discovered, depths you have not yet reached, because you have been too busy going through the motions to go deeper. Go deeper. And third, this one is the hardest. I want to talk to the person who is hurting. The one who is sitting here today with a relationship that is in real pain. Maybe you have been betrayed. Maybe you have betrayed. Maybe you have drifted so far from each other that you are not sure you can find your way back. Maybe you are at the edge of something ending and you don't know what to do. To you, I want to say, whatever you decide, make the decision from love and from clarity, not from fear and from hurt. If you choose to stay fully, not with one foot out the door, not carrying resentment like a weapon. Stay and fight for it with everything you have. Get help. Go to therapy individually and together. Be honest about what happened and what needs to change. Do the hard, unglamorous, necessary work of rebuilding what was broken. And if you choose to leave, if the thing is truly broken beyond repair, if the hurt is too great, if the trust is gone and cannot be rebuilt, if staying is genuinely destroying you, then leave with dignity. Leave without cruelty. Leave having been honest with yourself about what happened and what part you played in it. And carry that honesty forward so that what you learn from this relationship becomes the gift you bring to the next chapter of your life. But please, before you decide, be sure before you decide. Be sure it is not winter you are walking away from. Be sure it is not simply the hardest chapter of a story that was worth finishing. I want to close with this. There is a Japanese concept called kintsugi. It is the art of repairing broken pottery with gold. When a piece of ceramic breaks, instead of throwing it away or hiding the cracks with glue that tries to make the break invisible, the kintsugi artist fills the cracks with gold. They celebrate the break. They make the repair visible. They make the broken places the most beautiful part of the pieces. The most beautiful part of the piece. The philosophy behind it is this: that something that has been broken and repaired is more beautiful, more valuable, more interesting than something that has never been broken at all. Because the breaks tell the story. The repairs show the care. The gold shows that someone thought this was worth saving. That is what a long-lasting relationship is. It is kintsugi. It is two imperfect people who have broken and repaired, broken and repaired, broken and repaired, and filled every crack with gold. And the gold is the honest conversation. The gold is the hard apology. The gold is the patient forgiveness. The gold is the long night of sitting together in the dark until the dawn comes. The gold is the choice made over and over in the ordinary light of the ordinary morning to stay. Your relationship, with all its history, all its breaks, all its repairs, is not less beautiful for having been tested. It is more beautiful. If you have gone through something hard and come out the other side still together, still choosing each other, still finding your way toward each other, what you have is not just love. What you have is gold. So protect it, tend it, choose it. Every day, tell the person you love that you love. Not because they already know. Tell them because hearing it matters. Tell them because life is uncertain and today is not promised. Tell them because the most important things in this world need to be said out loud in the light where they can live and breathe and be the partner you wish you had. Bring the love you want to receive. Create the safety you need to feel. Choose and keep choosing until choosing becomes as natural as breathing. Until loving this person is not something you do, it is simply who you are. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, the secret of a long-lasting relationship is not a secret at all. It has been there the whole time, in plain sight, accessible to everyone who has the courage to reach for it. It is presence, it is honesty, it is safety, it is gratitude, it is forgiveness, it is patience. It is choosing each other not once but always, in every season, through every winter toward every spring. It is the willingness to let another human being see you, the real you, the unfinished you, the frightened and hopeful and imperfect you, and to see them in return. To stand side by side in the temple of your shared life, pillars holding each other up, with enough space between you for the winds of heaven to dance. That is the secret. And now you know it. Go home and love someone well. Thank you.